When a decorated Navy SEAL's wife is brutalized by police outside her own home, he trades combat for the courtroom. But this battle for justice will demand more than just vengeance. It will ignite a revolution. The afternoon sun beat down on Maya Wilson as she pulled into her driveway. After a long day at the hospital where she worked as a nurse, all she wanted was to pick up her children from their after-school program and enjoy a quiet evening at home. She checked her watch, already 15 minutes behind schedule. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. As Maya gathered her purse and stepped out of her car, she noticed a police cruiser rolling slowly down her street. Nothing unusual about that except when it suddenly stopped beside her house. Two officers emerged and approached her with deliberate steps. "Excuse me, ma'am," the older officer called out. "We need to speak with you for a moment." Maya turned, confused but composed. "Is there a problem, officer? We've had reports of someone matching your description loitering around these properties," said the officer, whose nameplate read Mercer. "Can I see some identification?" "I live here," Maya replied, gesturing toward her home. "This is my house. I'm just getting home from work and running late to pick up my children." Officer Mercer's partner, a younger man with cold eyes, stepped closer. "That doesn't answer the question, ma'am. ID, please." Maya took a deep breath. "My ID is in my purse. I'm reaching for it now." She moved slowly, retrieving her wallet. "This is ridiculous," she muttered, presenting her driver's license with her address clearly visible. Officer Mercer examined it with exaggerated thoroughness while his partner began looking through her car window. "What gives you the right to look in my vehicle?" Maya asked, her patience wearing thin. "Change of attitude, huh?" Officer Mercer said, his tone hardening. "Step away from the vehicle." "I've shown you my ID. I live here. I need to pick up my children." "Step away from the vehicle now," the younger officer shouted, suddenly advancing on Maya. What happened next occurred with frightening speed. When Maya protested again, she found herself spun around and slammed against the car. Pain exploded through her cheek as it connected with the hot metal of the hood. "Stop! What are you doing?" Maya cried out as the officers twisted her arms behind her back. "I haven't done anything!" The younger officer pressed his knee into her back, forcing the air from her lungs. "Stop resisting." "I'm not resisting," Maya gasped, tears streaming down her face as handcuffs bit into her wrists. A neighbor's door opened across the street. "Hey, what's going on over there?" called an elderly woman. "Police business. Stay inside, ma'am," Officer Mercer barked without turning around. With brutal efficiency, they yanked Maya to her feet. Blood trickled from where her lip had split against the car. The world spun around her as they dragged her toward the police cruiser. "My children," she pleaded. "Please, I need to call someone to get my children." Officer Mercer's face remained impassive. "You can make your call from the station." "On what charges?" Maya demanded, finding her voice despite the pain. "Resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and we'll see what else," the younger officer said, with a smirk. As they neared the cruiser, Maya's foot caught on the curb. She stumbled, and the officer's grip tightened painfully. "I said stop resisting," the younger officer shouted, delivering a shocking blow to her ribs that left her gasping. More neighbors had emerged, some recording with their phones. Through a fog of pain and humiliation, Maya heard their voices calling out in protest. The officers hurried her into the back of the cruiser, slamming the door. The booking process was a blur of indignities. Maya's requests for medical attention were ignored. Her professional ID badge was confiscated along with her personal belongings. The female officer who processed her pointedly avoided eye contact, as if Maya's bruised face and split lip were invisible. "You get one phone call," said the desk sergeant after 3 hours of waiting in a holding cell. Maya's hands trembled as she dialed the number. Each ring seemed to last an eternity until finally a deep voice answered. "Michael," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I need you." "Maya, what's wrong?" The concern in her husband's voice nearly broke her. "I've been arrested. They hurt me, Michael. She couldn't continue as sobs overtook her. Where are you?" His voice had changed, taking on a quality she'd heard only a few times in their marriage. It was the voice of Lieutenant Commander Michael Wilson, the decorated Navy SEAL who had led men through the most dangerous missions imaginable. Maya gave him the details of her location, then added, "The kids. Someone needs to get the kids. I'll call your sister right now," Michael replied. "Stay strong, I'm coming." Michael Wilson ended the call and stood motionless for exactly 3 seconds. His military training had taught him to process shock quickly, to channel emotion into action. But this was different. This was Maya. He made 2 calls, first to Maya's sister about the children, then to Commander Jackson, his former commanding officer who now worked as a civil rights attorney. "Jackson, I need you, it's Maya." Those few words were enough. Jackson understood immediately. "Text me the details. I'll meet you there," Jackson replied. As Michael drove, his mind calculated and planned. 15 years of special operations had disciplined his rage into something far more effective than blind fury. He arrived at the police station 40 minutes later, dressed in civilian clothes but carrying himself with unmistakable military bearing. The desk sergeant looked up as Michael approached. "I'm here for my wife, Maya Wilson." "Visiting hours are over," the sergeant replied dismissively. "I'm not here to visit," Michael stated, his voice quiet but carrying an authority that made the sergeant pause. "I'm here to take her home." "She's been charged with fabricated offenses after being physically assaulted by your officers," Michael interrupted. "I have 12 witnesses who recorded the incident, and my attorney is already reviewing the footage." The sergeant's expression changed slightly. "Wait here." Michael waited, still as a statue, until Commander Jackson arrived 15 minutes later, immaculately dressed in a tailored suit, carrying a briefcase. "Michael?" Jackson nodded, then turned to the desk sergeant. "I'm Commander Jackson Phillips, Mrs. Wilson's attorney. I have here a formal complaint of excessive force, false arrest, and violation of civil rights. We'll be pursuing this to the fullest extent of the law." The sergeant picked up the phone, muttering something into the receiver. Within an hour, Maya was released. The official explanation was insufficient evidence to hold her. No apology was offered. Michael wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, gently guiding her toward the exit. "This isn't over," Jackson assured them as they walked out. "Those officers will be held accountable." Maya leaned into her husband's strength. "The children? Safe with Jessica. She'll keep them overnight," Michael assured her. In the car, Maya finally broke down completely, releasing the terror and humiliation she'd been holding back. Michael held her, his face a mask of controlled emotion. "I couldn't protect our kids," she sobbed. "What if they'd been with me?" Michael's voice was soft but resolute. "We're going to fight this, Maya. Not just for you, but for every person who's been treated this way. This stops now." The next morning, Commander Jackson called. The incident had gone viral. Multiple neighbors had uploaded their footage. National news networks were picking up the story. Black nurse assaulted outside her own home. "The department wants to meet," Jackson said. "They're talking settlement." Michael put the phone on speaker. "We're not interested in settlement. We want justice." Maya, her face still bruised but her eyes clear and determined, nodded in agreement. "Those officers need to be fired and charged. Then we fight," Jackson replied. "And with what we have, we'll win." Michael took Maya's hand. They had met during one of his medical evaluations after a mission gone wrong. She had been the nurse who had seen past the uniform to the man beneath. Now it was his turn to fight. For her. "In the Navy, we're taught never to leave anyone behind," Michael said quietly. "But this isn't just about us. This is about changing a system that thinks it can beat my wife outside our home with impunity." Maya squeezed his hand. "Then, we change it, together." In the weeks that followed, Maya and Michael Wilson became reluctant symbols of a much larger struggle. Their case catapulted from local news to national headlines, particularly after Michael's military service record was highlighted in contrast to the officer's troubling history of complaints. Maya returned to work at the hospital, where colleagues rallied around her. The initial whispers and awkward glances soon gave way to outspoken support. The hospital administration issued a public statement condemning police brutality and standing behind their employee. Michael took leave from his current position as a military consultant to focus on the case. His quiet dignity in press conferences, standing beside Maya as she recounted her experience, resonated with viewers across the country. "My wife saves lives every day," he told reporters. "She deserved protection, not persecution." The police department's internal investigation moved with unprecedented speed, undoubtedly accelerated by the public scrutiny. Both officers were placed on administrative leave pending the outcome. "That's not enough," Maya insisted during a community meeting at their local church. "The system needs to recognize that what happened to me happens to countless others who don't have the resources or platform to fight back." With Jackson's guidance, they established the Wilson Justice Initiative, focused on police accountability and training reform. Local business leaders, moved by Maya's story, provided initial funding. "This isn't about vilifying all police officers," Michael explained at the launch event. "It's about ensuring that those who abuse their power face consequences, and that departments develop better training and accountability measures." The initiative's first project? Funding body cameras for every officer in their city, with civilian oversight of the footage. 6 months after that fateful afternoon, Maya and Michael sat in the courtroom as the verdict was read. The officers had been found guilty of excessive force and official misconduct. The judge's sentence included jail time, rare in such cases, and permanent disqualification from law enforcement. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered around. The Wilsons, Maya, now fully recovered physically if not emotionally, addressed the cameras. "Today isn't just a victory for me and my family," she said. "It's a small step toward justice for every person who has suffered similar treatment. Our work isn't finished." Michael stood beside her, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. "In the military, we have a strict code of conduct, even in the most extreme circumstances. Law enforcement should be held to no less a standard." The Wilson Justice Initiative had already expanded to 3 neighboring cities. Police departments were reaching out, requesting input on training reforms. Maya had been invited to speak at the police academy about the perspective of community members. That evening, as they returned home to their children, Michael watched Maya embrace their son and daughter. The trauma remained. Their daughter still asked if the bad police would come back, and Maya occasionally woke gasping from nightmares. But there was healing too. "You know," Maya said later that night as they sat on their porch swing, "when I called you from that station, I was at my lowest point. I felt helpless, violated." Michael nodded, remembering his cold fury, the disciplined rage he had channeled, into action. "But what you did wasn't about revenge," and she continued. "You fought with dignity with the law. You showed our children that justice is possible." Michael took her hand. "We did it together, and we're not done." Maya leaned against his shoulder, watching the stars appear in the evening sky. "No," she agreed. "We're just getting started."